Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video that I'm about to put out for you today. If you do end up liking it, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow me over on Twitch where I work on these builds live. The next point that I'm going to make is I want to give a shout out to James Stencil. This is the warrior build that I'm going to be using for your request for the Last Day Dawn's quest. Just so you're tracking, I wanted to give you a quick update. I am still working on that. It is taking me a little bit longer. It was a little bit harder than I expected, but I think we came up with a good conclusion on how to get it, and I'll hopefully be getting that video out to you shortly. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Stick around and watch till the end. There are some changes that I made live, but I hope you guys enjoy. Take care. All right, hey guys. Well, we're back at it with another video. So this one's going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm in the process of creating a guide on how to um, do the quest The Last Day Dawns on hard mode as a request from one of the viewers. This build that I'm about to highlight today is actually the build that I'm using on my warrior um, to do it, at least just for the warrior. There's other parts of the build that go into it, such as the heroes, but I'm still kind of fleshing that out. But as far as what build I'm going to be using on the warrior to actually accomplish it, this is the build that I have come up with that I'm going to stick with. It might have slight changes here and there, but right now this is the build. So without further ado, we will unhide my UI. As you can see, there's the build. So I've played warrior for a long time. What I have found is that the best way to play warrior that I have found that's the most enjoyable is to play it as an assassin. Interesting, right? Yeah. It's almost like when I did a talk on my Twitch channel about what the best ranger was, and I came to determine that the best ranger sometimes, because of durability, is a warrior. But anyways, without further ado, we'll dive in a little bit to the build. So, as you can see, this is going to be a warrior assassin build. This is going to be basically a dagger spam build. Your dagger abilities is going to be Jagged Strike. This inflicts bleed condition. And then you're going to have Fox's Fang. This deals 30 damage. It's unblockable. Very important because there's going to be a lot of blocks and stuff like that from warriors or monks putting up Protective Spirit, etc., etc. And then you have your Death Blossom. Death Blossom is a great DPS tool because it also hits the targets around them. So it does quite a bit of damage and it hits twice. So see how it says it's a dual attack? It hits twice in combination. And then Death Charge is just a quick heal that you have. Everything that you have left over from your skill points will go into Shadow Arch just to give you a little bit of more healing. You could jump around, gives you some movement, allows you to get into combat quickly before everybody tosses up their protections, etc. Whirlwind Attack is just a good AoE ability on top of your Death Blossom. So, we'll get back into kind of how this combos in and fits into the rotation. I Am Unstoppable gives you extra armor, so you get plus 24 armor, as well as you can't be knocked down or crippled. It's nice because you're going to be pretty much your primary tank for the build that I'm working on. And then you have Burst of Aggression. So Burst of Aggression, you attack 33% faster, which means that your adrenaline is building up faster, which allows you to then use Whirlwind Attack more often. That's kind of what I was going to get into later. So Burst of Aggression. The only thing is you want to try to keep this up as long as possible. So it has a 12-second 12-second cooldown. So if you can time it shortly after, sometimes you'll miss the whole adrenaline drop because it takes a second to register that it fell off, and then the adrenaline disappears. And then Warrior's Endurance. So this is the key, half of the key to the entire build. So Warrior's Endurance, what it does is it allows you to gain 3 energy each time you hit with an ability. No energy gain if you're over 26 energy. So what does that mean? You don't want to use attunement runes. You want to keep your energy relatively low, and you really won't have any problem. You could probably get it closer to the 25 mark, but there's no point. If you get a buff or whatever, it may happen, and your energy goes up just slightly, you're going to lose the energy regen, which then gets you out of the dagger spam capability. So you could maybe throw on 1 attunement rune, but it's not necessary. So that's kind of how the build works. like I said, keep in mind, this is only half of it. So the Warrior's Endurance is part of what gets you your energy back to allow you to spam through your abilities. As you can see, I have 16 strength, which means that I also have the +3 superior strength rune. And then we put the rest into Dagger Mastery, and then what's left over goes into Shadow Arts. So moving on to equipment. So equipment. When we think about a warrior has the ability, they have really high armor against physical damage as it is. They have the highest physical armor in the game with 80. So when we add physical armor using Sentinels, it's going to bump that up to 100% armor against physical attacks. We're going to move this out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. And then as long as you have above 13 strength, which we do because we have 16, you're going to have 20 armor against elemental damage as well. So that counts all fire, ice, whatever it may be, which is important because making yourself just that much more tanky. As in, rangers are really the only ones that get that elemental defense outside of this ability, this insignia. So you're going to run Sentinel on everything. It'll boost up your armor on everything up to 100, so you're going to be very tanky against physical damage, and then you'll also get that boost to elemental damage, which is important because, like I said, initially this is for the Last Day Dawns quest, and in the Last Day Dawns they have the Titans, which do fire damage. So having the elemental damage decreased stack up to about 100 just from your armor, and then total of like, I don't know, 500, 600, 500 total armor from physical damage. That's where this all kind of plays in. The only major superior rune that you're going to use is your Sentinel. Or not your Sentinel, but your superior strength rune. And then I should also, I don't remember if I put it in here. Yeah, there it is. I also put the superior vigor to kind of counteract the damage, or not the damage, but the health decrease. And then I also put the Vitae runes to bump me back up to basically the baseline for a warrior. All right, so with the armor kind of spoken about, we've talked about all the runes, your insignias. Now we're going to move on to the weapon. So you're going to be using, you want to do a requirement 9 dagger, and then you're going to use, really it could be anything under requirement 12. The requirement is only so that you can potentially lower, min-max your dispersion of abilities kind of sometimes, because you'll get the max amount of damage for the most part from 9. And then every little tiny bit of point into it after that is min-maxing for the most part. So, but the big thing that you want to pay attention to is we're using Zealous Stilettos. So the Zealous Stilettos allow you to gain that 1 energy. So every single hit in combination of Warrior's Endurance, you're gaining 4 energy. Well, every single one of your Dagger Spam abilities are 5. So essentially, between your Burst of Aggression and then your Dagger Spamming, you're gaining energy quickly. And I'll display this at the end, but you're basically just allowed to spam through your abilities. There's not a second of downtime, which is important because you need to put out as much damage as possible. And then the Fortitude is just to stay alive longer. It's fairly important. And then the Guided by Fate while enchanted. So this one, I was toying around with some other things and I really haven't messed with it. This one you could probably change out from Guided by Fate to while under effect, or 15% damage while under stance, because you're always going to be under a stance with your Burst of Aggression, keeping that up. And then you can also either do, I would stay away from 15% over 50 health because you're going to drop down quite a bit, but you could rotate between. The reason why I was also messing around with it is because you have some of the different buffs that I was playing around with. So I would suggest you could probably rotate that out. Let me see if I actually have one. I do. Actually, let me take that off with the perfect kits just in case I need it later. So I like to try to maintain at least some of the not stances, but some of the inscriptions. Where are all my perfect kits? I put them all on one character, didn't I? No, there they are. Take that off. All right, so you can put in the 15% damage while under stance. Um, that's what I would recommend with how the is. So the final thing looks like Zealous Stilettos of Fortitude. So you're going to have the Zealous, which is the 1 energy you gain on -1 regeneration, the plus 30 HP. You want to be as tanky as possible. And then the Dance with Death Inscription, which gives you 15% damage increase while in a stance. Now, if these were going to stay on this character, I would also recommend going and getting them customized so you gain that extra 15% damage, but I'm not going to do that right now. All right, now to get into the live display of kind of how it looks. Okay. So before you get into combat, you're going to run in. You're going to hit your Warrior's Endurance. And then you're going to hit your Burst of Aggression. All right, and here I'm going to hit 4 to get in there. And as long as you have that, as you can see, my energy is increasing faster than I can friggin' even degrade it. So you're just spamming through your abilities, just ticking away that damage. You're just pumping it out. You want to keep up Burst of Aggression, and then as Warrior's Endurance comes off cooldown. So I'm using the Guild Wars Toolbox modification for my skill tracker, so it shows me as my things are about to fall off. We also aggroed the second group, so this could turn out badly, but we'll see. Maybe not. Pop up my defensive. All right, we're okay. So as you can see, you pump out quite a bit of damage as soon as I get in there. So in comparison to my heroes, now Gwen, which is a very common pump and DPS build, she's using the Energy Surge build for Mesmers. But in comparison to the Energy Surge build setup, and I have her fully decked out, runes and all, so she's got 16 domination magic, she has her prodigy insignias, everything like that. So she's fully stacked out. Weapons as well. And you're keeping up with the DPS, right? You're not equivalent or at the same, but you're keeping up. So it's a really good build. It flows very smoothly. It's probably the best flowing warrior build that I've had, and that's kind of how it works. So like I said, I wanted to keep this kind of short, simple, straight to the point. This is the first part of getting to the Last Day Dawn's hard mode quest, like how to do it without much complication, what to do to make it as easy as possible. It is going to take longer than I expected. I thought that the quest would be a little bit easier. I had never done it before, but it is very difficult, but it is doable. So we're working it, but I wanted to put something out there to show you guys, hey, we're still working it. If you guys have any questions about this build or need anything answered that I may have missed, please ask. And I'm not going to go in depth to the heroes yet because that's not a finalized build and what I'm kind of doing with them. But yeah, without further ado, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, post down in the comments. Let me know what you want to see next, what you want to see better. I will be putting out the Last Day Dawns on hard mode. It is coming. I'm still working on it. So hope to see you guys there. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And now I'm out.